Hey guys, it's MJ, and I cut out the proof sheets that Shuffled Ink sent me. And the proof sheets are these large sheets of cardstock with the images from the deck on it for me to go over and review to make sure the colors are what I had envisioned. And, you know, I have to say, they really are. I mean, the colors are just spectacular. It's exactly how I had created on my computer. So they send me these sheets because, you know, not everybody's computer, has the same color settings, and just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. So I cut out these cards, and one thing you'll notice, this deck, this one does not have borders. So I took a cue. I was paying attention to what I've heard other people say in respect to borders, and I have also noticed a lot of my Crow Tarot deck that has been cut down. So I decided to try that, and I really love it, actually. I really love the borderless cards here. The cardstock is a little bit thicker than the Guardian of the Night. It's a 330 GSM, and it's the same size as the Guardian of the Night. And let's see here. And it's also going to include a guidebook. This will have a guidebook in the box with it. So everything will be shipped at the same time. That's going to help out a lot as far as making things more efficient and getting you your deck quicker, and the guidebook as well quicker. So this is the back. And when I was making this deck, I wasn't so concerned with making a back that could support reverses. Like so here with the Guardian of the Night, it's very symmetrical, so you can't tell if the card is reversed or not. But with an Oracle deck, I thought that gave me a little bit more freedom to create a design that just was just a unique image without worrying about things being mirrored. So anyway, let's get going. I'm going to show you the cards. So let's start here. The first card that reveals itself is Survival. And this is about, being in that state of just trying to get through the day or the hour. You're in survival mode, When you're in survival mode, you're not really focused on all the opportunities that are around you. You're just focusing on putting out the fire that's right in front of you, or taking care of yourself, or making it through the next, few minutes or hour or day. So here you can see there's a fox. It's hunting this crow that is probably wounded as it's hiding in the bush, and this crow can't fly. It's just focused. It's all its focus on is avoiding this fox. So something to consider when this card arises. The next card we have is Scavenge. Scavenge. Oh my God. Speak up, Margot. Okay. So Scavenge. This card, is about taking what you can get. You're pretty much just poking around looking for something. You're not really, focused on any one direction. You're just sort of looking maybe for food. In this case, the crow is looking for food. It might be you'll just take whatever job you can get. You'll take whatever relationship you can get. You're not being too picky. The one thing that Scavenge does bring is experience. So when you do test out all these different things, you begin to know what you like and what you don't like. So there is the upside to that, and you gain wisdom when you're scavenging. The next card we have is Resistance, and this is where you feel like everything you do is just hit with some form of resistance. It's like, like you're walking into the wind every step of the way. So this is about staying in flight, finding the right path, in this case, finding the jet stream that will help you smooth out your course. You may lose a couple tail feathers there. Gifts. Gifts, one of the most wonderful things that crows do is they bring gifts. And they bring gifts to people who show an interest in them, who show that they're generous, right, to crows. So this is a sign that you need to start giving a little bit to receive, like in order to receive, you need to give. Ghosts. So this card is about our memories and how our memories linger within us like ghosts. We call upon them, and sometimes we want them to be more solid than they are. We want them to hold more weight in the world that we live in today, but that time is past. So this may be a call for you to consider if you're letting a past memory impact you today, even though it's nothing more than just that, a memory. Here we have distraction, and this is one of the stories from Gifts of the Crow from John Marsloff. Crows are very smart, in case you guys don't already. I know you guys already know that. But one thing that they do is they create distractions, and they work together so that one crow will distract a dog. And if the food is outside or whatever it is that the dog has that the crows want, one will distract the dog, and the other one will swoop in, take some food, and then they reverse position, and they do that over and over. And it's really fun to see how crows interact with other animals as well as us. So let's see here. Now we have routine. Every day I watch the crows come into Ballard, and then I watch them leave Ballard, and it's almost like clockwork, like as soon as the sun begins to set, you see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of crows fill the sky, and they're all heading up to the roost in Bothell. And then in the morning they leave their roost in Bothell, and they come down, they spread out across my little neighborhood. So routine speaks to the things that we do every day. It's just part of our routine. Are you in a good space where you're feeling confident in what you're doing, or have you become so almost like robotic? Is it like a rut? Distance. This is where you get a good vantage point, where you try to see your situation from a place where you can see the whole picture, not just what's right there in front of you. This is, seeing the forest through the trees. Anticipation. And so, the crows know schedules. Like, they know when lunchtime is. They know when people fill the cafes, or when they fill, the courtyards, and they know when food is going to be ready. And so that's that feeling of just knowing that something good is coming. Like you've watched it, you've seen things play out in the past, and because of that wisdom, because of that knowledge, you're now in this position to predict when something good is going to happen. Caching. This would be similar to, say, the Four of Pentacles, where you're stashing your food, you're saving it for later. This is where you're investing, perhaps maybe in the future. It depends on what your attachment is to what is caching, whether or not it's a positive thing or if it's a negative thing. If you can't leave this spot because you're terrified of some other creature coming in and taking your stash, then it's not so great. But if you know that later on down the road it's going to be a cold winter, this may be very beneficial. The next card we have here is commitment, and this is a lovely story of George and Mabel. And George was this crow that broke his beak in an accident, and Mabel, his faithful partner, made sure that he was fed and stood up for poor George when other crows would come by and try to attack him, seeing that he is weak. And so this is this commitment that when you, whether it be in a marriage or any sort of relationship where you are committed to somebody, this could even be a strong friendship. Where do your loyalties lie? Are you ready to step up and do the work, to help somebody? Anomaly, and this one comes thanks to Lynn in Wales, and she had asked about a white crow, an albino crow in the deck, because she's seen them, and we have one here. So I've read in the Seattle area, and so this is a rare bird. So whatever that looks like for you, whatever that anomaly is for you, it may be that rare partnership, that rare relationship that you've encountered. It may be just something that some event is taking place, and it's just so very different than anything else, and something to pay attention to. Here we have abundance, and here at this old canning, or the canning factory here, the fish are all waiting to go in, and the crows take this opportunity and they see the abundance that's all around them. Of course, we have bond, and this is that relationship, and it's not just romantic. This is something where you feel this deep connection to something, where it's like part of your soul. Like for me, that's what art is. Like art is part of my soul. It is something that I feel like it has traveled with me from lifetime to lifetime. So this could be a relationship that you have with somebody where you just feel that power, when you're joining forces. It could be just a hobby that you have that you just feel just connected with. And next one we have is exposed. And this is the story of a little crow here that was left out in the open. And this falcon is coming in. It sees this opportunity to swoop up this little bird. And so this could have a couple meanings. Excuse me. It could be that you are the little bird and you're leaving yourself exposed. So if you're doing something that is less than great, you know, if you're leaving yourself up for criticism, if you're leaving yourself up to be vulnerable, you may be feeling exposed. You know, if you stand up in a meeting and you voice your opinion, you may be feeling as though something's going to swoop in and take you away. It could also mean that there's an opportunity out there that you just need to see. Nobody's protecting it. It's there for you for the taking. Next we have fear. And so the story of fear here is that, you know, have you ever seen crows hanging around a scarecrow? Well, it's funny because initially I'm sure these birds were terrified of that scarecrow because they had reason to be. They had past experiences with a farmer or something that you know, gave them reason to not go into that field because of the scarecrow. Some of these birds up here maintain that fear, but see, this crow realizes that there's nothing left to be afraid of, that the threat is no longer there. So this card asks you to consider areas where you are fearful, and is that fear rooted in reality today, or is it based on a belief from the past? Next we have upheaval, and this is very similar to the Tower card. You can see the roots are coming up off this tree, the nests are being thrown into the air, and life as you know it is going to experience a bit of an upheaval. Luck. This crow was just so lucky. It just so happened to be at the beach the day that fish began to fall out of the sky. This is where you just happen to stumble upon the right thing at the right time, and boy, life is good. Here we have grief, and you see there's a little bird here that is dead, and it's circled by flowers. And one of the things in the John Marsleff book, Gifts of the Crow, he pointed out is that crows will create like an altar. They'll create a space around the dead bird, and they'll put sticks and they'll circle it. It's such a fascinating thing. It's like they are cognizant of death. They understand what it means, and they mourn. They actually mourn. And so here the crows are mourning this death, and they're giving space for this bird. So this is this could be equivalent to, say, the the 5 of Cups, where you experience a loss and you allow yourself that time to heal, and you allow that time to examine the death. Here we have growth, and here we have this little bird that's learning to fly, and the mama bird is down here saying, you can do it. And you can see the other birds are doing their circle, and they're practicing, and they're getting their wing strength here. So this is growth. This is about taking chances, learning to fly, growing, taking on something new. You know, once you learn this skill, the world opens up for you. We have perspective, and this is my nod to the Crow Tarot and the Hanged Man. And it turns out, you know, crows actually do hang upside down to reach food that they would not be able to get otherwise. And so here you get a different perspective on the landscape. You get a different perspective of the sky when you're hanging upside down. Territory. So if you ever notice, you'll have crows that will follow you. They'll stop, at least here, I've noticed in Ballard, we've got several different groups of crows, and they will follow you only so far because their territories are well marked and well defined. And so this is about creating boundaries, about creating your space, and only allowing those into your space who you feel comfortable with. Curiosity. This little crow here decided that the door is open, and that's an invitation to come in and poke around. And he sees these rubber boots, these wellies here, and crows love rubber for some reason. I don't know what the deal is with that, but they love rubber. I had so much fun making this card, by the way, creating the interior for this house. Little crow painting up here. This person really loves crows, so whoever lives here would not be too upset that the crow came in. So this is about really just having that courage to go into something new, you know, to explore. Okay, next card here. I don't mean to go on too long, sorry. Preparation. Many of you already know this story, that here in the Puget Sound, the crows know the ferry schedule, and they know where to put the clams. So when the ferry leaves, the crows go, they dig up the clams, they put it on the side of the road, the same side that the cars disembark, and sure enough, those cars run over the clams, leaving the meat for the crows to pick up. Next, we have warning, and this one came out during the time when we could not open our windows or leave our house because of all the smoke from the fires. And crows will put a scout up on a tree or like a high place, and that scout's job really is to warn the other birds of danger. And so here this crow is setting off that warning siren here. So if you do see this card, the warning is, you know, that something is changing, danger may be coming, but also there's this opportunity for growth here and a new beginning with those magnolia flowers. Here, of course, we have play, and crows do play, which is such, like, I mean, I know like dogs play, you know, and cats play, but crows really do make it a point to take some downtime, enjoy each other's company, enjoy the environment. This one is in the water, just jumping up and down, having a good old time. Next, we have waterproof, and this card speaks to being you know, resistant or resilient. This is a card that, you know, asks you to let things slide off your back, you know, like if somebody insults you, if somebody sends you, you know, like a nasty email, or if you have a coworker who just likes to, you know, practice microaggressions, this is, you know, be waterproof, you know, be like that, was it like that song Bulletproof, you know, it's like, this is, in this case for this crow, it's like you're waterproof, you know, you're just, nothing can get inside there, you know, you're not going to let somebody else's emotions drain you of your own energy. Next, we have teamwork, and teamwork is all about working with other, in this case, other crows, but other people to get a job done. And so here these crows are fighting off a falcon who, you know, was looking for perhaps a meal, and these crows are chasing it away, and they work together strategically to steer that falcon away. Next, we have dominance. I don't think anybody's seen this card yet. I haven't shown this card yet. It's a very dark card, and this is like where you feel under the thumb of somebody else, where you feel like you're being dominated. It could also mean, though, the flip side of that could be that you need to dominate the situation. You need to stand up. You need to have that strength to command, you know, the attention that you need or deserve, or just if you need you know, if you're in this state at work where, you know, a promotion is up on the table, this is where you stand up and you stake that claim, you know. And so this is one that when you read this deck, you'll know what this means for you. Next one we have is memory. And so crows are wicked smart in that they can remember a face. I know many of you already know this, but they can also remember things and places. And so here I outlined with the red the things that this crow recognizes, and he's calling out, or she's calling out, saying, hey, in the vicinity here we have somebody who was either a danger or was somebody who perhaps is very kind and gives food. And so this is where you recall your memories, you know, and you use that knowledge, you use that wisdom, and you go, oh, you know what, I've made that mistake in the past. I am not going to do that again. It may be something where you recall a time where you like at work or in a relationship where you've made the same error, or you've made the same jump to conclusion, and you think, oh, well, this is how things played out before. Maybe I should readjust, okay? Next, we have soar, and this is pretty straightforward. This is just moving forward. This would be equivalent to the Chariot card. This is like having that faith in yourself to rise up, to take flight, to feel the wind under your wings, and to just move forward with whatever it is that you're going after. Just soar ahead. Next card we have is displacement. I had so much fun with this card. Oh my God. So one of the things that crows do, and you know, we as humans, we're masters at displacement. As a parent, I can tell you, my poor child, if somebody sends me an email that is a bit cross or not say so kind, and my child comes up to my desk and asks me a question at that time that I finish reading that email, my response to her is usually one that is rooted in frustration, shame, anger, and I do not treat my child with my best self during that time. So displacement is where you take out something that is totally unrelated on someone. It's like this is where you can't yell at your boss, you know, who's being a big butthead. So when you come home, you take it out on your family. You know, this is where, you know, you get a parking ticket, and instead of being angry at the fact that, you know, you were just a minute over time, you know, and you got a ticket, you take it out on the person who's sitting in the car next to you. You know, you snap at them, whatever. Crows also demonstrate displacement. So if a crow is attacked by a human or bothered by a human, they're not in this position to attack the human effectively. You know, they can't really, I mean, I guess they can swoop in. Anyway, they're also known to destroy property, the property of the human. So these crows have gotten together and they have completely annihilated this person's car. Again, I had so much fun with that. Sorry, I went on a little long on that one. Sorry. Okay, let's go. Okay. Self-interest, pretty self-explanatory here. This would be equivalent to, say, like the Five of Swords in Tarot. Here this crow is taking off with the entire mouse. It's not sharing it with anybody. It's like all for one and one for all here. And I've seen crows do this in my own balcony, where they just come in. One crow will just come in and swoop up all the food, like literally shove its mouth like a freaking pelican full of food. Meanwhile, these two other crows are sitting there going, hey, wait, you know, is she going to bring out more? So this is about self-interest here. You're looking out for number one, or somebody else is looking out for number one here. There, okay, risk. Here we have this crow, and he's on this rock, and there are clams that were just sort of dropped on this rock at some point, and this crow decided to swoop in and take them, even though it was pretty risky, because crows do get washed up in the water if they get hit by a wave. So that's taking a risk, and you have to weigh up the benefits. Is it worth the danger? Communication. This is an ode to big head, or I'm sorry, to brave one, not big head. To those are crows that we have, or we did have in my neighborhood. So we named this one Brave One, and Brave One would come to my sliding glass door, and he would knock on the door, and like repeatedly until I approached the door, and then it's like, oh, you need food in your bowl, sorry. So this is about asking for what you want. You know, this is about not being shy. You know, walk up there, tell whoever it is the thing that you need. Trickery. So one of the funny things that crows do is they're very aware. These creatures are aware of their surroundings. They're aware of who's around them. And so here, this crow notices that another crow is spying on him and his cache here of food. So this crow is putting down leaves to hide where he put his treasure. And so this is about protecting what you have worked so hard to achieve. It's also about using a bit of your creativity, your cleverness here. A little trickery perhaps may be warranted. Influence. Crows do smoke and they drink because they see us do it. And so this is a card equivalent maybe to the devil. You know, are you partaking in a behavior or something that is not so healthy because you see somebody else do it. This is about, you know, are you hurting yourself because all the cool kids are doing it? Influence works in a couple ways. You could be influenced by something positive as well. It could be somebody who is, you know, I don't know, taking up running, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'll run too. But for the most part, this card does speak to, you know, bad influences. Freedom. This is about rising up, you know, spreading your wings, feeling that sense of complete and utter freedom, about, you know, quitting whatever it is that's holding you back, that's holding you down. Balance. You can see here this crow is balanced on this phone wire. And, you know, even during storms, when I see like a windstorm and I see these crows hanging out on the phone lines, I mean, that's amazing that they have that kind of balance. So this is where you're just really at one and at peace with yourself, where you feel in harmony with the environment. We have sacred space, and this could be your place, your favorite place to go to relax. It could be your place that you hold sacred in your mind. This could be a belief that you have that's sacred, and if, you know, other people come in and they try to trample over your beliefs, that's where you kind of feel a little bit harder. You know, you feel it in your gut a little bit more because it's something that's sacred to you. Next, we have nature, and even in the city, you can find nature anywhere and everywhere. It doesn't always have to be a big, beautiful garden. It can be a field of dandelions. There's beauty all around us. So this card really is like, if you think about the Ace of Cups in Tarot, this is about, you know, really connecting with Mother Nature, no matter where it is. It can be a weed that's popping up through the sidewalk. Next, we have release, and this follows that grief card, in that once you've given time to grieve a loss, it's time to let it go, right? It's time to say, you know, to move on. It's time to put that in the past, let it become a ghost, essentially, and rise up. And, you know, this would be equivalent to judgment. Protection. This is the very first card I made for this deck, and this is about protecting that which you value, that you love, that thing that's special to you. So we have these two crows here protecting the egg that had fallen. Illusion. Oh, this would be similar to, say, like the moon card, where, you know, your creative mind gets going and you start seeing things in a distorted light. This crow sees, you know, itself in the reflection in the mirror, but it doesn't realize that it's squawking at itself. He thinks that there's another bird in its area, in its territory, and he's really bothered by this. So this could be that you're reacting not based on reality, but the reaction that you're giving off here is based on an illusion. Next, we have insight, and this is the story of the crow filling the jar up with pebbles, and so very, you know, pretty much self-explanatory there. You gain wisdom from knowledge. You start to recognize the relationship between two things. So in this case, the crow recognizes the relationship between the rocks and the water and how it rises. So this is where you start putting things together. You gain wisdom. Here we have mimicry, and this is also from John Marsloff's book. And it was a great story about this crow that mimicked a person's voice and called this dog that was sitting out in the yard, and got the dog to follow it out of the yard and onto, I think it was the University of Montana, the campus, and had this dog like just far afield from home because this crow kept calling the dog. And it's just fascinating. So this could be, you know, faking it till you make it. Somebody's pretending to be perhaps something that they're not. It could be, you know, just anything where you're being fooled, you know, into believing something. Sometimes it's good, you know, if you're faking it till you make it. You know, you may not have the resume to support your dream job, but you have the knowledge to get you there. You know, that's okay, but be aware if somebody's pretending to be something that they're not. Community. This is one of the roosts. We have 3 roosts here, and this is where you gather with those who you feel comfortable with. That's where you gain your strength. That's where your roots are. Direction. This is that inner compass that you have. You know where your North Star is. You know where you're going. You have a purpose. Wrath. Many of you know that I feel this right now because I'm dealing with a scammer who's taken my artwork. Wrath is a very strong emotion. It is something that it's almost visceral, you know, where it's like you can feel it deep down there, and it can spark change. Anger, as the Public Image Limited song would say, you know, anger is an energy. It is an energy. As long as something good comes out of it, that is healing. You know, if you use it for revenge, if you use it in a way that is destructive, two wrongs don't make a right. So this is, you know, feeling that wrath and working through it. Here we have isolation. Every once in a while, a crow will become an outcast if it's injured, or if it does something. Crows are they can be, I don't know, it's like they can cast another crow aside, and it's just like, you know, like you imagine like people like turning their backs on you, you know, that kind of thing. They do that. And so this is that time of isolation. It could also indicate that you need to be alone, that you need some downtime, you need some alone time, like the hermit. Mischief. This is one thing crows do is they pull on tails. They pull on tails of cats, dogs, doesn't matter what it is. A cow, it will pull its, if you have a tail, it will pull it. And so this is about getting into a little bit of trouble. You may be doing something, not necessarily thinking it all the way through, you know, you're kind of working on your impulses here. You're acting mischievously. Night. This is a card about finding that downtime, that quiet, returning to a place of peace, rest. Observation. So this crow could just scoop up this spider here and have a quick meal, but instead it's just going to hang out and it's going to watch the spider, see if it can learn anything before it acts. So this is about, you know, holding back on impulses, you know, like not being so reactionary. This is about, you know, basically it's impulse control. And so it may be a signal that you need to just take a step back, observe the situation before you act. And the last card, the 54th card in the deck, is Battle. And this is one where you may have to fight for something you believe in. It may be that you're being confronted. You may have to defend yourself. And you'll see there's a bunch of onlookers up here, and it might indicate that you might be alone in this battle. It might be that you have to stand up for yourself. You may have to do this confrontation yourself, and this is something that you're going to have to go at alone. So this is the Urban Crow deck. I hope that you enjoy it as much as, oh my god, I love this deck so much. Oh, this was a dream come true for me to make this one. I've been working on an crow oracle deck in my head for, well, since I made the Crow Tarot. I mean, this has been sitting in my brain. And then when I read John Marsleff's book, The Gifts of the Crow, it was like, it literally just like, this is what I need to do right now. So anyway, the colors came out great. The printing is just spectacular. I think you guys are gonna love this deck. It feels like the perfect fall deck, fall winter deck. All right, much love, peace, happy Wednesday, bye.